just a lot of these things that are not like eyes and ears. And and it's assumed that we're dealing with senses where there is a binary physical concatenation operation. And I'll call that concatenation circle dot. And again, we can have magnitude production just as before. I will repeat that. And unlike the binary case, this circle plus operation does in fact satisfy bisymmetry, commutativity, associativity. And I know of no principal argument that forces the delta equals 0 case, which is very different than the binary kind of attributes where it was forced. Now, in the case that the delta is not equal to 0, then you can rewrite the p additivity as this product relationship. And there are two interesting and obvious things once you write it in that form. One is if you take the logarithm of it, it's an additive representation. Second, since you're working with 1 plus a delta, which is a 1 or minus 1, this has to be an absolute scale. Everything else is in ratio scales. This is an absolute scale. And we haven't had a lot of experience with these absolute scales in the behavioral sciences, so there's a great deal of work here to be done. I can show that the form of the representation phi has to be these three types, depending on what delta is. So the minus, the not equal to 0 cases are either exponential or negative exponential. And there is a criterion that I've given to decide whether you're dealing with which value of delta. So I know how to perform experiments to verify that. Now, the literature that I mentioned of Stevens and his various other psychophysicists in the early part of the 20th, mid part of the 20th century, was that you're getting power functions, and here I'm predicting non-power functions, and one of the things that I'm predicting, and I'll get to in a second, you can do all sorts of cross-modal matches between different attributes. In Stevens' world, all those cross-modal matches would be power functions with the exponents predicted from the individual power functions. Here, however, it's more complicated by a good bit. And in fact, if you look at them systematically, you get a complicated chart. The Stevens part of it is this stuff in here, all powers. But all of this kind of thing is now predicted to occur. Nobody has yet done those experiments in the detail that needs to be done and for individuals. You clearly don't want to be averaging this and this. And so there's a kind of huge experimental program to look at these dimensions that haven't ever been really very carefully studied except for money. That's the one that seems to have received the most attention from maybe because the economists are interested. 2 minutes, yeah. I suspect that further research is going to confirm that for dimensions like shock and pain and vibration, you're going to have the delta not equal to 0 cases. we'll see whether this is true when people start working at it systematically. The utility of money is in a way unusual because it can go both positive and negative. And it appears that in these cases, the three possibilities are people who are risk-seeking, risk-neutral, and risk-averse. And again, there's been a lot of speculation in the literature about these concepts, but they fall out pretty naturally. So, in summary, the overlooked solutions for Hölder's theorem didn't matter for physics, but they do matter for the behavioral sciences, particularly for the non-binary senses, which are the ones that have been least studied, and there just needs to be a lot of experimentation carried out, and again, as I emphasize, on individual subjects. These are just, you just can't average people who have such different functions. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, I want to make one little point about the celebration that we're at. It's in celebration of Pat's 90th birthday. That doesn't happen to be this weekend. That comes next weekend, Saturday, on St. Patrick's Day. So happy birthday, St. Patrick's Day.